Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all well. Just on the Scottish Sun here. DUNBLANE, 30 years on. The horror haunts many, still haunts many of us. So, yeah, DUNBLANE, 30 years on. Just on Wikipedia here. Not the most trustworthy of places, to be honest, but in terms of telling you historical events, in the present future, he kind of cracked it. They don't really lie about them, to be fair. So the DUNBLANE massacre took place at DUNBLANE Primary School in Dunblane, near Stirling, Scotland, 13th of March, 1996. Interesting if that was a Friday. When 43-year-old Thomas Hamilton killed 16 pupils and one teacher and injured 15 others before killing himself. It remains the deadliest mass shooting in British history. So, yeah, that's what happened. DUNBLANE, again, many children killed. The DUNBLANE massacre, as it's now known, 30 years on. So, I'll play a bit of this, but then the plot's going to thicken here, as it so often does. The plot is going to thicken. So, I'll have a listen to this first.
That day, now 30 years ago, look back with horror at what unfolded in Dunblane. Those images of parents running to the school gate, the horror of what then emerged was unprecedented and haunts many of us still to this day. I was living and working in Edinburgh at the time. I was a trainee solicitor. I remember vividly watching the news coverage. One small glimmer of light in the enveloping darkness was the complete consensus across Scottish society and across all the political parties that action needed to be taken in relation to the handgun ban. I very vividly remember those images of Michael Forsyth, who was then a leading Conservative politician, walking with George Robertson, a leading Labour politician who himself lived in Dunblane, showing the depth of unity across Scotland, that not only must this never happen again, but that we needed to support the families in their campaign for action. So,
You see, I mean, it never happened again. Southport happened, mate. It wasn't with a gun, but fuck me, it was a very similar incident. Yeah, so 30 years on, again, all the the usual condemn the attack, all this kind of nonsense that fucking they all have to do, and obviously it was a horrific attack, but this is why the plot's going to thicken. You can't trust a lot of these people. I don't know about this particular gentleman here, but in terms of this whole affair and the DUNBLANE massacre, it's got a bit of suspicion around it, to be honest. The Guardian, we'll move over to the Guardian here. This is an article more than 23 years old. Just so you know there, this article is more than 23 years old. So, what happened 23 years ago? Again, the massacre was 30 years ago today. 23 years ago, campaigners yesterday called for a review of the 100-year secrecy rule imposed on some documents seen by the inquiry into the DUNBLANE killings, which were never made public. So, yeah, when this happened, the government, who very much work for the royal family, put a 100-year secrecy rule on many of the documents in the inquiry into the DUNBLANE killings, exactly like it says there. They were not made public, were never made for the public. The move comes after the Scottish Cabinet this week instructed Scotland's most senior lawyer officer to look again at the 100-year ban. Again, so yeah, there was a 100-year ban put on this in the aftermath, right? So we've got 70 years still to go here before any of us can know what really happened at DUNBLANE. Now, I find that slightly suspicious, personally. Why have you done that? Why is there a 100-year secrecy rule on this event? And again, that's everyone's dead. We're all dead before we get to know what really happened on this event and what was in these documents. We're all dead, right? So why would you do that? Well, logic would suggest you were hiding something, wouldn't it? Can you think of any other reason than you were hiding something? So, Yeah, again, this is what annoys me. You get this guy here and all this palaver of the children, the children. But we've never been told the truth about this situation, not in 30 years, and we're not going to be told the truth about this situation for another 70. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm not going to be here. So, yeah, this is what I mean. You can play the whole it never happened again, never happened again card and all this kind of crack when Southport's already happened. It's already happened again. And you're all lying bastards, to be honest. You're all lying bastards and you're covering something up, as usual. And what we've learned in the Epstein files, sorry to bring the Epstein files into this, but it very much connects. So, yeah, the Epstein files, what we've learned about the Epstein files, the people in the Epstein files, what these people get up to. And yeah, there's a massacre here of children. Again, everything to do with the Epstein files is a lot of to do with children and trafficking, etc. Possibly even sacrifice and cannibalism. Children. So we have a massacre here with children. We have 100-year secrecy rule put on all the documents that none of us get to see for another 70 years still. Why do you think they would do that? Well, here we have a photo to the right here of the DUNBLANE killer, which is this man on the right here, I'm circling. In the middle is a character people will know very well, a Mr. Jimmy Savile. And to the left here is a man that will also be known quite well at this moment. He's the King of England, King Charles. Right. So let's just think this through here. So we have the Epstein files and the King's brother, as well as many, many high-profile people involved in satanic, paedophilic, sacrifice, cannibalism, rituals, all this kind of darkness. We have this man's brother involved in all that, for definite, absolutely for definite here. In the middle, we have a well-known prolific paedophile, one of Britain's worst to have ever graced the stage, Jimmy Savile. Next to the brother of a man, of a pretty much well-known paedophile, and then we have the man who's massacred a load of children here in DUNBLANE. Now, they're all in the same photo here. They're having a good giggle here. They're having a good giggle, it seems, Charles and Mr. Jimmy there, as Mr. DUNBLANE killer shows them something. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. Well, these people are never going to admit anything. We already know that, you know what I mean? We know that from Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump. You name it. These people are never going to admit to anything. So people are going to have to connect a few dots here, it would seem. And I'm seeing some dots, personally. I'm seeing a cover-up and secrecy imposed by our government, which ultimately work for the royal family. We have a royal member of the royals pictured with the DUNBLANE killer and a prolific paedophile in Jimmy Savile, who had houses in Scotland. Yeah, there's the picture. There's the secrecy. And does anybody not think that this is slightly suspicious in light of everything we know of the Epstein files, everything we've now learned about Jimmy Savile? And here we have a picture with the King of England, with Jimmy Savile, and the murder of the DUNBLANE children. Now, and 100-year secrecy rule put upon all of this. So every single one of us will be dead before we ever get to know what happened here. Now, I mean, it doesn't take a conspiracy theorist to fucking say there could be some goings on here, you know what I mean? There could be some absolute goings on, and the 100-year secrecy is ultimately the proof of it, you know what I mean? Is ultimately the proof that there is something gone on here, and we're not allowed to know about it. And then here we have a picture of Prince Charles, King Charles, with Jimmy Savile and the DUNBLANE killer. Well, I mean, if questions haven't got to be asked, then what the hell's gone on? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, again, for me anyway, I think it's very suspicious. Again, there's no real proof of anything, but what we know in the background from the Epstein files from this man's brother, look at the guy in the middle, here's the DUNBLANE killer. It's all very suspicious. It's all absolutely very suspicious to anyone, really, or it should be, you know what I mean? So that's the crack anyway. It's 30 years on since Dunblane, but we're being lied to about it. We're absolutely being lied to about it. So all this, the children, and Southport happened as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, the children. Well, that's all bollocks because they won't tell us who, and what, and why, and exactly. You know what I mean? And here we have a picture of King Charles with Jimmy Savile and the Dunblane killer. So think what you will, but I think it's very suspicious. I'll leave it there. Peace.